Hello, good evening to you and welcome to News 360. It's coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adisawe, Kanda. I'm Natalie Ford.
And my name is Alfred Okanse. Coming up in the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray.
6 bodies retrieved after Monday night's downpour, including that of a 32-year-old doctor who went missing in Accra.
Accused person standing trial for the murder of the late NPP MP for Ibokono tells court he was contracted by some persons in the New Patriotic Party to kill the legislature.
Also ahead this evening, Tebu MA school yet to get a new classroom block a year after the collapse of its makeshift structure.
And in business evening, government mobilizes 2.5 billion cedis from various financial institutions to build factories under the One District, One Factory initiative.
And on the international front this evening, U.S. President Donald Trump promises action to keep families together amid fury over separations of undocumented child migrants from adults.
Yeah, the African teams keep breaking hearts.
Yeah. Alfred, I'm here to obviously bring you all the updates from the World Cup. Of course, the full stories will be brought to you subsequently right here on News 360. But you should know, Morocco and Egypt are officially out of the 2018 World Cup. And of course, that's after Morocco lost their game today. Well, Saudi Arabia was as well beating. Cristiano Ronaldo is en route to becoming the top scorer or winning the Golden Boots of the Russia 2018. We'll bring you a lot of these details subsequently right here on News 360.
We'll be looking forward to some more news from the world of sports, but let's get started with our main stories this evening as the body of a 32-year-old doctor who went missing after Monday night's heavy rain has been retrieved from the Peshi Lagoon in Accra and deposited at the police hospital morgue. NADMO says it has so far retrieved 6 bodies after Monday's downpour.
Dr. Aya Hefron, 32, went missing after her car was washed away by floodwaters on the Teshi Bush Road, while her husband looked on helplessly. According to the residents, the occupants were in a Hyundai Accent saloon car with registration number GY 229113. After a search by the National Disaster Management Organization NADMO, together with the police and military, the body of the occupant of the vehicle was retrieved from the Peshi Lagoon.
Whenever rain is falling this way, and even the water can be as small as anything, they should not attempt to cross because water can carry anything.
The National Disaster Management Organization said even though some drains had been dredged, more work needs to be done.
We will do the dredging, but our human activities are also parts of the reason. If you saw it on your TV and co, you could see that a lot of rubbish were in the flats. So it tells that we are not doing something right as a people. We need to reorient our mindsets as far as disposal of garbage or refuse is concerned.
The organization says it requires an LI to enforce its bylaws to pull down structures built on waterways.
But then you need to have the LI to know the hows and the when to do that. And so that is what a team of lawyers are working on the LI. They are in the drafting stage. When it is done, it will be forwarded to Parliament for the LI to be passed. And then it will give us the strong hand to execute our mandate as a disaster management organization.
The Lejokuku Municipal Chief Executive Evelyn Najilechum ordered the construction of the Teshi Demo Bridge.
The bridge is low, so any small amount of rainfall can overflow. That is causing the problem. So immediately I've asked my engineers to come and then see to it for the rehabilitation.
Monday evening's downpour left several parts of Accra flooded.
Now, one of the accused persons standing trial for the murder of the late NPP MP for the Iboako North constituency, Nayeli Amoah, has told the court he was contracted by some persons within the New Patriotic Party to kill the legislator. Opting to confess to the district court, Nayeli Amoah said he was rather asked to accuse the NDC for the act. Here's a report by court correspondent Kofet Tanam.
Teary-eyed, Nayeli Amoah raised his hands in the courtroom, signaling the magistrate he has something to say. To be clear, the magistrate wanted to know what exactly he wanted to do and whether he was going to confess, complain of conditions in the prison or anything. Nayeli Amoah, the prime suspect, said he was contracted by the New Patriotic Party to kill the Member of Parliament for the Iboako North constituency, JB Dankwedu. According to him, he was asked to do this with the promise that he will be freed when the MPP returns to power, a promise that has not been fulfilled, and he thinks he has suffered enough and needs to expose those behind his action. He threatened to name the individuals. The magistrate, Eritin Simo, told him the matter is at the committal stage and will have to eventually travel to the High Court when a prima facie case is established, so he should not expect to be released after confessing. The second accused person, Vincent Bosu, for his part told the court he did not know anything about the case. He has a child to take care of and the situation he finds himself has put him in a fix coupled with his family rejecting him. The late JB Dankwedu was stabbed to death on February 9, 2016 at his Shiashi residence in Accra. Nayeli Amoah, who is the prime suspect, was arrested 2 days after the incident. Vincent Bosu was also arrested later in connection with the killing. The case has been adjourned to July 26.
Let's just stay a bit further on this particular story. And Martin Pibil is a private legal practitioner. He joins me in studio for a discussion on this. Thank you so much, Mr. Pibil, for your time this evening. Now, this has only created a fertile ground for a lot of speculation, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for that viewpoint, yes. But ultimately, what it is that that statement by itself is not sufficient for the court to convict him. In actual fact, you see, where they appear, that's a district court, it doesn't have jurisdiction to do the trial. So the trial itself will take place in the High Court. However, before they get to the High Court, it is the law that the district magistrate in due course would have to look at, assess the evidence that the AG has gathered, the evidence the AG intends to use to prosecute him, in order to see if indeed there's any link to the accused persons. So that is what they call the committal hearing. So when that is done, then we'll have the trial in the High Court. So the point is this: if on the day of the actual committal hearing, after the judge has assessed the evidence and thinks that there is a case, that the case should go to the High Court, it's within Asiedu's right to inform the judge. In actual fact, it's the judge who threw an invitation to him that does he want to say anything. Right. That's after he's looked at the evidence. The judge will ask him, does he want to say anything?
And this is at the High Court?
No, in the district court. So at that point, if he wants to say he's guilty, okay, that's the confession as you're talking about, it's open to him to inform the judge. Then the judge will actually write it down and add it to the bill of indictment, and the order the judge will make that he should stand trial in the High Court. So you see, so Alfred, what I'm at pains to point out is that there is a day where the actual hearing will be done. You see, he's been going to court for about 3 years now. Yes. Each day they go, that's not the committal proceedings. No, that's not. The actual committal proceedings will be conducted when the AG has closed the investigation and is ready, not just closing, compiles the bill of indictment. When we say bill of indictment, it just means generally the evidence that the Attorney General intends to rely on in the High Court. So they make photocopies, okay? There's the pathologist's report, the witness statements, the accused's own statement, and any other evidence. So generally, and also if there's any murder weapon, any other like we call real evidence, pieces of material.
It's traveled for 3 years. What exactly does this particular statement mean for the case? up until this point?
Yeah, so then a number of things. One, if so far, you see, just I'm guilty alone, it doesn't take the case any further as such, but rather he would have to give them, he would have to tell the prosecution, he would have to give them further details. So that what I see is that practically when he gives further details about how he committed it, then the prosecution can compare with the evidence they have gathered, whether it tallies. So it will be good. If it doesn't tally, then they may then go and use the information he has given them to gather more evidence and add.
Look
so
at
that's
the case
how
in,
it is.
in the pronouncements of this particular person. There's been some inconsistencies in his pronouncements in the past. So if he comes back and says, okay, I said this, that I'm accusing the MPP, but then the next time he says, well, what I said is not true, then what happens? Is he has the right to change his mind?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
So what can the court do?
No,
in such instances where in the court of public opinion, we would feed into such information already put out?
Yes. So what I mean is collateral damage. Yes, very bad, especially knowing. I mean, we all know the institutions is mentioning. That's not very good, especially for our body politic. It's so sad. But in law, generally the accused has that right to change his statement, and generally he's given so much of a latitude in putting up a defense. Sometimes even outright lies. If that's his defense, the court will look at it and will reject it. So mentioning the names of parties and the rest. For now it appears as collateral damage. But if the prosecution go into the statement, as I stated, that statement by itself will not carry the case that far.
Right.
But maybe he can give further details.
Fantastic. So the burden of proof lies with him.
Well, for now, yes. If you put it that way.
Thank you so much.
Sure. You're welcome.
Pibil is a legal practitioner joining us with us on this particular case. But it's still staying in the courts. Nayeli Amoah, convicted for drug trafficking, has been released from jail. Now, the Ghanaian, who was Austrian citizenship, was convicted January 6, 2015 for transporting cocaine to the UK and was sentenced to 8 years and 8 months jail term. She was convicted on her own plea by the Asworth Crown Court in the UK. Family sources have hinted the 35-year-old is not returning to Ghana, where her property has been confiscated, but will be heading back to Austria to live a quiet life. Sources say she was released from jail for good behavior. Nayeli Amoah, also known as Ruby Apea, who made headlines late 2014 and early 2015, reportedly used the VVIP lounge of Ghana's only international airport, Kotoka in Accra, to smuggle narcotic substance via a British Airways flight. She was arrested with about 12.5 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of £1.9 million. She was reported to have had on her $23,000 and £6,000 at the time of the arrest.
In some other news, President Akufo-Addo has asked the Director of the Lands Commission, Dr. Wilfred Enim-Odame, to proceed on leave. Now, Dr. Enim-Odame has also been directed to hand over to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Ameru, and proceed to collect any terminal benefits or facilities due him. His contract is expected to end on July 14, 2018. But a letter signed by the Sector Minister, Peter Ameru, informed that Dr. Enim-Odame that the President, Akufo-Addo, is not in a position to renew his contract. The letter further urged him to report to the Minister for reassignment at the end of his leave. Meanwhile, the former Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Alhaji Suleimana Mahama, has been asked to act in the interim. Dr. Wilfred Enim-Odame started his career as a valuer at the erstwhile Land Valuation Board in December 1993.
And to some education now. Enrollment at the Pibil MA Basic School in the South Municipality has dropped from 329 to 260 pupils, despite an intervention by the Education Directorate to resort to the shift system. A promise by the Municipal Assembly to provide the school with a new classroom block is yet to be fulfilled after their makeshift school block collapsed during a rainstorm in May last year. Here's a report by Solace Rose Corte.
On our first visit, some classes were held under trees. Some students had to bring in stools from home to complement furniture the school had. Others had to sit on cement blocks. In November last year, a makeshift classroom for the JHS pupils collapsed during a downpour. The Education Directorate had to resort to the shift system to temporarily address the inadequacy of classrooms. School authorities tell us the shift system adversely affected enrollment, which has dropped from 329 to 260 pupils. Because Pibil is a farming community, pupils in the afternoon shift were either late or failed to turn up. According to the headmaster, Emmanuel Bagut, the collapse of the shared classrooms caused many more JHS pupils to drop out. The remaining 14 JHS 1 pupils now occupy part of the headmaster's office, while the library now serves as the primary 4 classroom.
Authorities at the Pibil MA Basic School tell us that one of the worst affected areas of the school is the issue of enrollment. For instance, in 2017, 11 students sat for the Basic Education Certificate examination. In 2018, however, only 4 pupils sat. Currently, we are in the corridor that serves as a classroom for the JHS 2 students. By the looks of things, only 4 students will be once again sitting for the Basic Education Certificate examination.
Since TV3's first visit, the school has received 11 desks for Primary 1 and 2, 30 textbooks, 6 round tables and 36 small chairs for the kindergarten classes from the Municipal Assembly. We are told the assemblyman for the area has presented an action plan for the construction of a 3-unit classroom block, but the contract is yet to be awarded. This news is contrary to the promise the Ghana South Municipal Chief Executive, Joseph Nyani Stephen, made in November 2017.
Very soon they'll get yes. But in the next 3 months, they should be able to get yes.
So what you're saying is if I'm to go to Pibil in January 2018, I won't see what I saw there today.
Yeah.
This is Pibil MA Basic School in June 2018.
This pump was constructed just before the elections in 2016. In the last 18 months, not one drop of water has been pumped out of this. Nothing.
A pupil, Philip Ivy, is unhappy. Although he is optimistic about his future, Philip thinks what has been done for his school so far is insignificant compared to the challenges they face every day.
Solis Rose Quarte, TV3, Pibil.
Well, certainly a very worrying situation that we continue to call on duty bearers to take the needed action. You're still live here on NEWS360. Let's take a look at our MTN Vision reports this evening as our citizen journalist Kwejo Sapong Mensah reports on the bad state of the Afranco Bridge in the Ashanti region.
The situation here is very bad. This bridge is in a state of disrepair. Information from residents here is that media has reported on this bridge over and again, but it seems authorities have not shown any sign of concern. Reporting from Afranco Kumasi, the Ashanti region of Ghana. My name is Kwejo Sapong.
Well, thanks to Kwejo Sapong Mensah for that report there. Remember that you can also send your video report via WhatsApp number. It's 055-14-33044. That's 055-14-33044.
We're back shortly with some more in the world of business here on NEWS360. Do stay. Now, before we go for business, the United States government has threatened to impose visa restrictions on Ghanaian citizens. Now, the U.S. government says Ghana government was not complying with international obligations regarding the issuance of travel documents to Ghanaians awaiting deportation in the United States. In a statement issued by the U.S. Embassy in Accra, the U.S. will be forced to begin implementing the visa restrictions in accordance with U.S. law as a responsibility owed to the American people. According to the statement, the government of Ghana became a signatory to the Convention on International Civil Aviation, which obliges also Ghana through its embassy in Washington, D.C. and its consulate general in New York to interview deportees on a regular basis and issue the necessary travel documents. In September last year, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration announced new visa standards, saying it would discontinue blanket bans in favor of restrictions based on factors like whether countries share information about travelers' criminal histories or use of electronic passports with embedded traveler information. Now, this is actually a worrying development. They will see how Ghanaian authorities react to this. But let's get into business now. Nanekia Mensa Brampa is standing by.
The Business News segment is brought to you by MTN, Universal Merchant Bank.
Well, thank you, Alfred, there. And let's look at our very first story for business tonight on trade. And Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, has indicated government mobilized 2.5 billion cedis from various financial institutions to build factories under the One District, One Factory initiative. Now, he was answering questions on the floor of Parliament.
Briefing the House Wednesday, the Trade and Industry Minister said the initiative is a private sector-led one and government will make only a maximum of 30% investment in each of the factories. He, however, did not give firm timelines on when factories will be constructed, saying it is up to the private sector owners who will build them to determine.
It's been reported that $400 million has been secured for the One District, One Factory. Is it a loan or a grant?
We've been in negotiations with a number of Chinese banks and a number of other institutions that will support the implementation of the program. Mr. Speaker, we've not finalized the negotiations on this particular facility, and I'm not therefore in a position to provide all the details before this House.
How much does the government plan, to put into this One District, One Factory?
Government, working through the Ministry of Trade and Industry, has been able to mobilize over 2.5 million Ghana cedis, billion Ghana cedis from participating financial institutions that is available to be accessed on a case-by-case basis for companies that qualify.
When do you anticipate, based on your projections, that actual fiscal works will start for the construction of the factories?
The pace of implementation of each project is squarely in the hands of each business promoter. They dictate the pace of implementation. Government has already provided the incentive framework, the support, and each of these companies, business promoters, are responding based on their own capacity to be able to provide the requirements that should come from the private sector.
Well, meanwhile, the Deputy Trade Minister, Robert Ahom-Kalensi, says government is committed to the structural transformation of Ghana's economy, which would take Ghana beyond aid. And he was speaking at a conference organized by the Africa Center for Economic Transformation.
For development economists, manufacturing could address unemployment, which in turn spurs economic growth, enhances productivity and higher living standards. The Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Robert Ahom-Kalensi, noted the transformation of the economy is hinged on restructuring institutions of governance, the modernization of the country's agricultural sector, and a clear industrial policy.
We are tired of exporting gold and cocoa. Simply put, it doesn't make enough money for us. It doesn't make enough money, it doesn't make enough jobs, and it's not enough to allow the 30 million odd Ghanaians today to achieve their ambitions. At independence, we're about 6 odd million. Today, we'll be at 30-odd million.
He noted government is now focused on growing the economy.
The fundamental structure of our economy has not really changed. We have a very strong services sector. Agriculture continues to be the main employer of people, but the nature and type and description of our economy is what we want to change. The Ministry of Trade and Industry are driven by putting policies in place that seeks to ensure that we play our part in industrialization drive.
The African Transformation Forum is a policy-focused event that brings together leading experts and practitioners to share perspectives on how to accelerate job growth, boost investment, and implement transformation policies.
And the Skills Development Fund, SDF, has opened its Skills and Technology Fair here in Accra. 40 beneficiaries are participating in the 4th edition of the two-day event.
The Skills Development Fund is aimed at strengthening the productive capacity, income levels, competitiveness and employment creation industry. It provides grants to successful applicants to finance skills and technology upgrading in the productive sectors of the economy. It has awarded 705 grants valued at $54 million to 58,200 micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as public and private sectors since its establishment in 2011.
When we offer the grant also, we go and monitor. Every quarter, we go and visit them to see how they're using our funds. Sometimes, it happens, some are abusing the funds. We stop disbursement, we investigate, we call the money back.
Minister for Business Development Mohammed Awal suggested support for physically challenged persons and startup modules and the participation of more women in their next phase of selection to boost the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
We're talking of startups, we talk about women, we talk about fiscal stability. We cannot grow an economy successfully if we exclude this very important segment of it. Please look at your model again. Government on its part would continue to provide the macroeconomic space.
Some beneficiaries shared their experience.
I think that the opportunity SDF gives, it's amazing. Amazing in the sense that the training they give helps you in your production. They've given us the confidence to also be a player in the fashion industry.
We thank them a lot for their opportunities and then the impact that they're able to impact in our business.
7 applicants received grants to expand their businesses. This year's fair is under the theme Skilling Ghana for Sustainable Development.
All right, so there's more news on 3news.com. That will do for business tonight. My name is Nanikia Mensah Bramp, and Alfred is standing by with something on the corruption index.
Oh, absolutely. Corruption derails business. But findings by a civil society group, Pen Plus Bites, reveal 95.8% of Ghanaians are of the view corruption is on the increase. Now, it cited the civil and public services accounting for more than 80% of the corrupt practices in the country. The research has proposed to government to resource the state agencies to deal with culprits.
The period for the research was within the past 15 months. 56% of Ghanaians again were of the view the Special Prosecution Office will thoroughly deal with corruption, while 29% say the Special Prosecutor's Office cannot fully deal with corruption. In the findings, 70% of Ghanaians were disturbed the passage of the Right to Information Bill has delayed.
The fight against corruption should be considered as multi-sectorial. Therefore, the passage of the Right to Information Bill should be considered necessary.
In another development, respondents criticized government for failing to initiate steps towards the election of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. The Deputy Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, Richard Quayson, expressed grave concern about increase in corruption.
Do you explain how a nation that has adopted the multi-institutional approach to fighting corruption and has established institutions like SHRAJ, IOCO, NCC, PSC, and audit service, and yet that nation cannot invest even 1% of its annual budget in these institutions to fight the #1 threat to our economy.
The civil society group Pens Plus Bite, which conducted the research, proposed to government to resource state agencies to fight corruption.
Allow for more dialogue, mobilization, and stimulation of collective action at all levels as we work to fight against corruption. In the next couple of hours, we're taking through a very detailed presentation.
The research covered 4 regions comprising Ashanti, Volta, Western, and the Greater Accra regions.
Let's turn to the health sector now. As a former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Agyemang Bedu Akosa has suggested that queen mothers be empowered to lead the fight against maternal mortality and teenage pregnancy in Ghana. He explained that the services of healthcare providers should rather be used to complement efforts by the traditional rulers.
Maternal mortality and morbidity in Ghana was the focus of the discussion at a forum organized in Accra by IPAS, a non-governmental organization dedicated to ending preventable death and disabilities from unsafe abortion. Former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Agyemang Bedu Akosa said, though Ghana has adopted several interventions in preventing maternal death, not much has been achieved.
Today, we think we have a better governance system. Queen mothers now have no role in society, and theirs is probably to sit down and talk amongst themselves. But we must give them that responsibility. And who is to say that if you charge them, that they will not be able to do it? Every village has a queen mother. Every village has a queen mother. So if it is this queen mother's responsibility, and this is the area that is probably letting the side down, then the entire paramountcy of queen mothers can prevail on her.
Statistics available at the Ghana Health Service shows that Ghana recorded 319 deaths per every 100,000 live births in 2015. Ghana has a target to reduce that to 70 deaths per every 100,000 live births. Director for the Family Health Division at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaje, agreed to the suggestion as the surest way to meeting the target, but said mothers also have a role to play.
Some women going to church when they have a complication, going to prayer camps, also not taking their medications. That is where the ignorance level at the first delay levels, and that's where the role of the Queen Mothers and other traditional authority, grandparents, everybody must play to ensure that our health-seeking behavior changes.
The forum was on the theme Building Championships, Advancing Women's Reproductive Health.
You're watching News 360. We'll be bringing you some news from the world of sports shortly. Stay with us.
Hi there and good evening. Let's settle down for some entertainment news tonight on News 360. Now, a delegation from the families of High Life musicians CK Man and Joel Aka on Tuesday afternoon paid a courtesy call on President Akufo-Addo to officially inform him about their demise. Led by the president and other executives of Musica, the delegation also used the opportunity to invite the president to the final funeral rites of the music legends. The president paid glowing tribute to the musicians, describing them as great men who served their country well. President Akufo-Addo extended his condolence to the families and children of CK Man and Joel Aka. Late High Life musician CK Man will be buried on July 14, 2018, and Joel Aka, on the other hand, will be laid to rest on August 4th at his hometown in Axim.
Teranga Lions. So, what is the nickname of your World Cup team?
Okay, which of the national side do you know? And what is your nickname?
I know the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Then I know the Pharaohs of Egypt. I think that's all.
Brazil, any idea of what their nickname is?
Actually, Brazil. Forgot it. I should know this. I should know this.
Spain.
Spain, nah.
France?
Nah. Le Bleu.
Alright, so that's cool. What's the nickname for the Senegalese national team?
Teranga Lions, eh?
Okay, so let's do Germany.
Germany,
demand machine, German machine.
All right. Do you have any idea what the nickname of the Egyptian national team is?
Egyptian mummy? I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm not even a big fan of football. It just happened that you're home, there's nothing really to do. Okay. Then you bump into football. But maybe the mummy, part 2 or something. I'm kidding.
They are called the Pharaohs of Egypt.
Nice. The Pharaohs of Egypt, yes. Right. Yes. And I think I'm supporting Argentina. They have a match tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they have 2 more matches.
2 more matches, yeah. I'm partly Argentinian, South African. Yeah, Messi. Yes, I don't know much about Argentinian football, but yeah.
Can we guess what their nickname is?
Zero MC or something. I'm kidding.
Well, I bet you do know some of those names. But what's your favorite team and what's the nickname? Alfred, let me guess. Senegal's your favorite or maybe Egypt?
No, the Black Stars.
What's the nickname?
Somebody says number 12. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I didn't say that. But the nickname of the Black Stars is number 12, please.
The Black Stars.
Yeah. But, well, you guessed. But on behalf of the rest of the team, we're grateful. Thank you for spending your 60 minutes with us. My name is Alfred Okamsi.
I'm Nayeli Amoah. Visit our website. It's 3news.com for some more news. As always, news at 10 will simulcast on our sister station, 3FM 92.7. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your evening.